radio station.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Unless you promise your college football quarterback a ton of money, you don't make good on said promise, and then he decides, hey, you know what? I'm done playing for you. But that wouldn't happen, right?
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
The man, your man could smell it.
Theo Dorsey is theoretically speaking.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
Streaming live on YouTube.
You're gonna break up with me because of what I do on the radio?
Here's Theo Dorsey.
Good people. At least those of you that still exist in this lawless world. It's supposed to be a society. We're supposed to have trust, man. We're supposed to believe each other's word and be men and women of our word. It's your boy Theo Dorsey, riding with you here on a Wednesday, hump day, middle of the week. And this story out of Las Vegas, which is a place where C-Cat, my guy who's on the other side of the glass on the ones and twos, you actually recently visited on behalf of the Big 12, right, for media days. That's a lawless city. It's Sin City.
Sure did. Got in a lot of trouble out there. Kept it off the radio airwaves, though.
Yeah, why didn't you share that with us when you came back? I know there was a little bit of mischief out there in Vegas.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I thought you were going to leave me on a cliffhanger there. I thought you weren't going to finish that saying. But honestly, yeah, that's what they say. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Except for when things happen in the world of college football, especially something like a starting quarterback who had a team that was primed to not only maybe have the best season in modern history for UNLV, but also potentially be one of those dark horses to make the 12-team college football playoff this year as the Group of 5 squad. UNLV competes in the Mountain West. UNLV is 3-0, and also the Rebels have beaten Kansas. They've beaten Houston, 2 Big 12 teams. And if you ask me, like, nobody knows this early in the college football season what the hell is going to happen with the 12-team playoff. You look at their schedule, you look at the Mountain West, you assume they were primed to actually make a run at this thing. But money got in the way. And there's a lot of people lining up right now to try and poo-poo Matt Sluka, who is a grad transfer. He came by way of Holy Cross. This is his first year with UNLV. And I think first we have to continue to learn the details of the story. So I'll give you info on that. And then I'll tell you why y'all need to lay off the kid who is literally only trying to hold adults, grown folk, at their word. So this is kind of how it all shook out, right? Sluka was a huge prospect in the transfer portal coming out of Holy Cross as a quarterback, a dual threat guy. He actually had one game, C-Cat, where he ran for over 300 yards with Holy Cross.
Ran.
I think 330 was the number. So the dude is it's not like a joke. Like, the dude is actually good, and he proved that out through the first 3 weeks of the season. So as he's looking to transfer out of Holy Cross to get into the the big boy college football land, he's sifting out offers to go places. Apparently UNLV, not their head coach, but as it's outlined in this Pete Thamel article on ESPN.com, their offensive coordinator, Marcus Cromartie, Sluka's agent, and his father are both saying the offensive coordinator promised him a verbal offer of $100,000 to go play for the Rebels. And you know what he said coming out of Holy Cross as a guy that didn't have a lot of offers coming out of high school, as a guy that didn't have much in the way of making bread playing football, because I'm not sure he's really a pro prospect. He says, sign me up. I get to go to Vegas, make $100,000, and play starting quarterback for a Rebels franchise or program that was a 9-win team last year. Like, who wouldn't want that offer?
It's a good job.
It's a great job. The only problem with that job was UNLV apparently is not holding up their end of the bargain, and this is where things get a little bit convoluted. This is where it gets a little murky. So according again to this ESPN article on ESPN.com right now from Pete Thamel and Adam Rittenberg, UNLV and Shannon Cottrell, who is the director of athlete engagements for the Friends of UNLV Collective. He's the one that handles the bag when it comes to the folks that do the actual NIL deals. They didn't respond for comment, but UNLV's collective did say that they would pay Sluka $3,000 for the next 4 months. So if you add up $3,000 times 4, what does that get you? Like, what, $12,000?
Great at math.
That's a little short. That's a little short. If you promise me $100,000 to come play college football for you as a quarterback, be in the limelight, try to carry this program to a place it's never been, and that's what he's done so far. They're actually ranked in the coaches poll, number 23 right now, the highest they've ever been. In fact, the only time in program history they've been ranked in any poll. He's holding up his end of the bargain by playing good football. They're offering him $12,000. That's not what we talked about.
No, not at all. He was offered, at least verbally,
Yeah.
he claims, a full-time, non-entry-level position at that company, and he was given a part-time internship.
Yeah, part-time internship, and not even one where it's like, well, you don't have to do as much work. No, you're still going to work just as hard as you would for that full-time job, for that main corner office job, but you're going to get paid like a part-time intern. And that's the holdup. That's the holdup right here. All right, further in the story along, UNLV goes on to go 3-0. He and his father and apparently his agent are all coming to UNLV, not just the collective, but also they're coming to the head coach, and they're like, yo, where's the bread? Where's the dough? We out here balling. We would like to be compensated like y'all previously stated. And the head coach of UNLV, who, again, was able to be contacted, the head coach of UNLV wrote it off as apparently this is from the father of the quarterback who decided to transfer, who, again, he's redshirting. His one power, if you're a player in these situations, is just to withhold your services, right? Like,
yeah.
He's a senior. He's not going to have another year of eligibility if he doesn't redshirt. So through 3 games, he can redshirt and then transfer to another school next year. The father apparently was told by the head coach that because that verbal offer was made by the offensive coordinator, it doesn't stand. So a little bit of miscommunication there. A little bit of misinformation right there. And if you ask me at this point, this is where Sluka probably looked at himself in the mirror and said, I have no option but to withhold my services. I have no option but to play the one card that I have in this scenario. I've asked you, head coach, where's my money? I've asked guy who promised it, offensive coordinator, where's the bread you promised me this winter to come here and play quarterback for y'all? And also, I'm delivering on the field. It's not like they're struggling out of the gates and he doesn't have any kind of leverage. That team needs him. He's been balling out. So then last night it happens, and this is like 12:30 a.m. Sluka puts out this message on X, on Twitter, whatever you want to call it. It says, I have decided to utilize my redshirt year and will not be playing any additional games this season. I committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to me. That would be the $100,000, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope for the continued success of this program. And much to my surprise, because my inclination is always to believe the athlete over the organization, right? Like organizations, governmental bodies, people in authority, like generally speaking, they lie a lot, right? Like they're trying to influence you to do things on their behalf that benefit them. So I'm much inclined to always say, well, hey, maybe he has a point. There's a reason why he's walking away from the game that he loves right now, and it's not some kind of, I'm greedy. I'm going for a bigger bag elsewhere. I was shocked, C-Cat, how many people lined up to take shots at this dude as if he was being selfish. And we're talking about a program, a college football program, a place that's supposed to be showing young men how to mature into great civilians of this world, great men of this world. They're not standing up to their word. I'm absolutely appalled at all the haters out there coming at Sluka, and also I'm fully in support of his decision to take his talents away from a place that was not good enough to stand on their word. My grandpa had one thing. His main slogan, and my grandpa was a man's man, built his own house out there in Bridge City, Louisiana, a little suburb of New Orleans, out there on the West Bank, was a dude who literally not only did he build his own house, raised his own cattle and farm, had all his stuff. He kind of self-made man. He would also help other people out in the neighborhood. He had one thing. All a man's got is his word. UNLV didn't live up to their word. Sluka has the right to leave. And all of y'all that are hating on my guy, y'all need to look yourselves in the mirror and check your own priorities. C-Cat, what was your reaction when you first saw that a guy that had a chance at making the 12-team playoff is walking out on his teammates?
What a punk. That was my first reaction because I read the headline, kind of read the tea leaves, saw the situation, saw this kid start off the season red hot, thought he should be getting paid more because he started off so hot, and then he read the article. And like, wait a second. Oh, okay. That's not the complete story.
Yeah, and that's the problem right now is we're in a world where, yeah, of course, like when something gets tweeted out, when something gets put out, it's almost like there's a demand for instant reaction. Like that's what it is in this 24/7 news cycle, and the fact that he tweeted this out at midnight and people were out here giving full soliloquies and monologues on the state of college football is that they knew what the hell was going on. The reporting continued throughout the day. We're learning more about it, and the more we learn, the more my first inclination that the actual school itself is the one that should be held accountable for this and is the one that is likely wrong in this scenario is, at least as it appears, to be in the wrong. Now, there's going to be some kind of bounce back from the school. They said that they've given him the money that they promised him. The head coach is apparently denying that the offensive coordinator can offer him that kind of a bag. But if the dude offered him that bag and he came there because of that, you got to honor it somehow. You got to find the money to do so. Maybe that's why UNLV has been, trying to petition to get into the Pac-12.
Yeah, and if your OC is handing out offers in monetary form that you can't fulfill, you punish the OC, not the player, right? The OC is the one that gets reprimanded. You got to pay the money, and now you're looking at the OC saying, look, you cost us this $88,000 we didn't have in the budget. That's your fault. Now we got to pay this kid this amount of money. We didn't plan on doing that.
And that's the problem, too, for UNLV. I wonder if this was a bigger program, this story likely doesn't get out because forking over $88,000 more than what you assumed isn't an issue. But UNLV's not like attracting. I mean, I know they're in Vegas, so you might assume there's a lot of motion out there. But there's also a lot of other stuff to do. They're drawing like 23,000 people to the stadium on average over the past couple of years for home games.
Yeah, it's more exciting probably going to a sports book to watch all of the college football games on a Saturday rather than just watching UNLV.
I didn't even think about that. Legit. Like, where else can you do that in a city that has that heavy of a population where, you just pull up to any of your favorite sports books out there and have a good day and watch it all. And, also you can, maybe get some scratch on some of those things. I just don't see how people can line up and point their guns at a kid who is using his one point of leverage to get what he was promised. And that's why I was actually utterly shocked and very disappointed in what we heard from Cordell Stewart on Unsportsmanlike this morning. Cordell Stewart, former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, former Colorado Buff in college. He was asked on Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, who's going to join us later on today, Michelle Smallman and Chris Canty, specifically about this, what he thought about Sluka withholding his ability to play for UNLV, redshirting and deciding to transfer somewhere else next year based on a promise that was broken. And all of a sudden, everything just became no longer about bread.
As our head coach at the University of Colorado says in his rapping debut, must be the money, right? It must be the money that's turning him out. So here's the problem with that. So he plays 3 games. The money's not, the bag is not right. He chooses to redshirt. Now, who's in control of the narrative for this young kid? One, he is, by letting you know what it's truly about, and also the coaching staff. So now being that he's redshirting, that means he won't play on the field again. He's hoping someone else picks him up because it's about what? It's about the bag.
When did it stop being about the bag, and why are we so selective when we're critical of that? Literally every single coach in college football has made moves based on a bigger bag to provide for themselves and their family. Also, this isn't like this is 2018 or 2019. We're living in 2024 right now. We're living in the era of name, image, and likeness where it's so pervasive, it's even trickled down into the high school ranks here. Like, yeah, it's about the bag for high school student athletes these days as much as it is college. Why are we acting new to this? But on top of that, C-Cat, I don't understand how we can be more critical of a kid who we don't think has NFL prospects for wanting to squeeze out a bit of financial security for his ability to play the game of football before he's past the age of being able to play anymore. We're more critical of him than we are of an institution that's either not able to come up with the bread or unwilling to fulfill a promise that somebody on their staff made. Somebody's got to pay for this. And in this lawless land that is college football right now, and also when you have a deal like that that's just verbal, it's literally based on trust and one man's word. That is literally the crux of the issue. We're talking about a college football landscape that doesn't have the guardrails that it properly needs to both protect the student athlete and the colleges. And until they put those bumpers in, there's going to be a few more gutter balls that happen. Like you can't take a poor bowler, a bad bowler out there to the bowling alley, go no bumpers and expect them to bowl strikes. Give them some guardrails, and then we can have a better, more cohesive college football landscape. If I had one word to describe what college football is right now, it's transitioning. And with change comes growing pains, and those are what we're feeling right now out of UNLV. College football in a state of transition, whether it be the conference realignment, whether it be the issue of, we don't know if schools can pay players or not. They got the antitrust law that's going to be coming out. Hopefully schools can just pay them directly and we won't have to deal with all this nonsense from collectives. But as it continues to transition, we're going to continue to have problems like this grow and grow. C-Cat, if there's one word you can use to describe the state of college football, where are you going with that?
Blossoming. I think we're getting to a brighter other end, and there's going to be growing pains like these situations where we will have to discover these problems that were definitely forecastable. You go back 3 years, and people saw things like this occurring, and they are sure occurring. These are little pieces of paper, acts being signed, people being put in positions to prevent situations like this occurring, whether it's from the NCAA level, from the conference level, or from the school level, to protect the player and to protect the university. These issues will get figured out. It's unfortunate that there will have to be student athletes that are sacrificed and burned in the process.
Yeah.
And just so happens that this quarterback, UNLV, is one of those examples.
Well, he almost got burned. See, I think it would be more ridiculous, and I would feel worse for him if he wasn't wise enough to, again, play the one card he has. And that's the problem, too. Like, people want to go back to the old days of college football, the nostalgia of it all, when players were powerless. And I just can't jive with that. I'm glad that there is an ability now. There are things in place for players to both use a little bit of leverage and also gain some financial security based on how well they play football. DJ Uiagalelei ain't never stepping foot on a football field for a professional organization, at least not for the National Football League. At least he got a couple of bags and NIL deals ahead of getting to Florida State.
Never going to pay for a Slurpee again. He's going to get a big gulp. He's going to get whatever you call it. He is running gas stations. Yeah. He might own a couple gas stations.
He might. And you know what? Good on him. I don't get the people that are just, number one, against players getting the bag, but also people that are so immediate, so quick to jump on the side of, like, even in professional sports, people are siding with the owners versus players. And then here in college, we have a lot of people siding with the actual institutions versus the student athletes. I will never understand that perspective. Like, whenever anything pops up like this in any sport, the player is always innocent until proven guilty, and it's the opposite for me, for the organization, for the franchise, for the institution. Like, is that a weird way to go into it?
No, it's not a weird. In fact, you can say we in college sports if you went to that university. So I understand that side of things, but
yeah,
you paid a lot of tuition to go to these universities if you went there and you're a fan of their athletics. So you almost feel like you're owed more from the university than you are a pro sports team that you root for. If that makes sense to you.
So you're saying, like, alumni of the organization or of the universities can be more critical of a player that like Sluka. Because, again, what Sluka's doing right now is a bit selfish if you feel like you have stock in UNLV, because he is withholding his ability to play so that he can attain a bag that don't got to come out of your wallet, so you ain't tripping. You like, nah, get your ass out there and play for my team.
I'm saying the other way around. I'm saying you have grounds to expect more from the organization because you paid that organization to be who they are now.
So you should hold them more accountable.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and that's true, too. And then also even for fans of professional teams. Like, it's not like y'all are, it's not cheap being a fan. How much did that Justin Tucker jersey cost you?
Ask China. It didn't buy from the NFL.
Oh, well, never mind. I guess the Ravens didn't see any of that scrap as well. But again, what is your one word? That's the easiest way to kind of phrase all of this right now, because we are all struggling to figure out not only what is college football right now, but also what is it going to be in the near future. And in our YouTube chat right here, again, presented by Prize Picks, theoretically speaking, on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and tap in. Dion says, talk that talk. She says talk that talk. And the reason why I'm talking that talk right now about college football is because there's a lot of people that are doing the opposite. They're talking that talk on behalf of the organizations, of the governing bodies, and of the schools. And I do believe I am one of those people that was put in this place maybe to stand on behalf of players. So damn it, I'm doing so. College football right now is in a state of transition. Transitioning is the word I would use to deliver what the one word is that describes college football, and I'm curious what yours is. Hit us up right here on the Baptist Health Hotline on Theoretically Speaking, 888-760-3776, 888-760-3776. One word to describe college football today. One word I would also use as a Canes fan right now is cathartic. Feels good. Feels good that the Canes are back on top right now. Whenever the Canes are back on top, it's always good vibes in college football. Penn State, how you? Yeah.
Feeling good, optimistic, but cautiously because I know where this road leads.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. That's how most Canes fans have been thinking. I think it's different with Cam Ward. Hit us up, though, on the Baptist Health Hotline. One word to describe college football today. And also, who's in the wrong here, UNLV or the quarterback, Sluka, who decided, I ain't playing if you ain't paying. Baptist Health Hotline. Are you experiencing foot and ankle pain and need to see an expert in the field? Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has a team of foot and ankle orthopedic surgeons and specialists who are regarded as leaders in their specialty. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho to learn more today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care combines its resources of experienced physicians and leading-edge treatments and technology to provide advanced orthopedic, foot and ankle, joint replacement, spine, and sports medicine care. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho for more information today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has offices conveniently located in Palm Beach County through the Florida Keys. Learn more by visiting baptisthealth.net/ortho. Again, the number is 888-760-3776. Tap in on the Baptist Health Hotline. What is your one word to describe college football right now? And we both agree, C-Cat, it's just in a state right now of growth. It's in a state of change. And that's going to have its issues that come out. But I do hope there aren't other people, because if there's one situation right here where Sluka steps up and stands up for herself, there's probably dozens of other ones across the nation where players were promised one thing, not delivered said bag, and did not feel they had the power within themselves or within their representation to actually withhold their services. They're going to probably play out the season and let these colleges get away with being ambiguous and being deceiving.
Because if you play this season getting paid 10% what you thought you were going to get paid, you're only letting yourself down. And I think it's easier to let yourself down than it is the rest of your team and the school and the fans and even the coaching staff who let you down. It's a lot easier to let yourself down than it is to everyone surrounding you. And by holding out, starting quarterback, playing great this year, beat a couple of Big 12 teams looking on the inside track of a college football playoff berth, to say, you know what? It's the right thing to do. Believe it or not, it's to let everybody else down because they're in the wrong and I'm not.
That's a sacrifice he's making, not only to his reputation, but also his competitive nature as a football player. He's making a huge sacrifice as well. Now, of course, it's for his own gain, but I do think that there's other kids out there that are watching him do that, and we are early enough in the season where there can be some copycats. I would expect that. I would expect there to be more of these stories that actually come out now that he was brave enough to step out and do it himself.
So by stepping out, what does he specifically gain from that? The fact that he can get this year of eligibility back and play for what he believes he's valued for in 2025?
He gets another year of eligibility next year to play for a program that stands by its word, is worth its own salt. He gets that. But then he also loses the risk of having to deal with the ambiguity, because another part of this story that Pete Thamel outlined here on ESPN.com is apparently as they've been reaching out to the multiple people that would be in charge of getting him this money, they've been giving him very wait and see type answers. They've been and they've been doing that for a while. Before the season started, they've been, hey, we got you, just enroll. And then, hey, we got you, just play football. And now they've gotten to a point where it's, hey, we got you, just keep on trudging along. And I think he looked up and he said, hey, there's only one last thing. There's one red button I can push right now. And that was always going to be to withhold his playing services. And he did so. It was the right move for him. It was his only move. And if there was another way for him to attack it, then I would say, I would assume they would have tried to go about that way, but it seems like based on what his agent, his father, and what this story outlines here on ESPN.com is they tried other avenues, and the school was not budging because they knew they were in power. It's like that.
It is like that. I think people sometimes, when they criticize the player in these situations, they are stuck in the past where the ideal nature of college football is stuck in 2004 before any of the conference realignment and all that happened, where they played for the love of the game. Newsflash, we're not back then. We're 2 decades in the future, and these are now employees.
And how corny are you for being out there trying to criticize a little 23-year-old dude trying to make some scratch based on how good of a football player he is? On the other side, we're going to bring in Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike. He's going to jump in, but before we do that, we do have to hit the phone lines again. Your take on what's happening right now in UNLV and college football. Who we got here on line one?
We got Chris in Palm Beach Gardens.
Chris is in Palm Beach Gardens. You're on Theoretically Speaking. Chris, what's one word you would use to describe college football today?
Oh, insane. Insane would be it. And, Theo, I think I'm one of the corny ones. Can we first agree that we can never, ever use the term student-athlete ever again?
No.
Please.
Yeah, it's done. But who was the one that made us use that term, though?
Table.
Let's remember who made us use that term, the NCAA and the very people that didn't want to pay the athletes in the first place. They were pushing that agenda.
Okay, I do have a question I don't know the answer to. Don't they have to petition the NCAA for a redshirt year? And what if the NCAA says, no, I'm not giving you a year just because you decided to quit on your team?
I don't necessarily know if the NCAA has to approve red shirts or not. I'm not sure what that process looks like, but I doubt the NCAA would get involved in that and step in the way. I think if a player has the power to choose the red shirt, they're not going to step in and muddy it up even more. That would look terrible on them as a governing and organizing body.
So last point, let's say that the offensive linemen who are getting whatever they get were on board with this guy and said, listen, we're all quitting unless you pay this guy. Now you've lost your whole offensive line and your quarterback because you wanted to give some verbal agreement on a little bit of money.
Right. And I appreciate the call. That's actually a good point. I appreciate the call on that. That's a good point, C-Cat. I do think that what he's referencing there would be like an act of solidarity, like they're all going on strike. But the problem is those offensive linemen don't have the same leverage that the quarterback would have, and they can threaten to do that. And what if the team is just like, all right, go ahead, red shirt, or quit, or stop playing? They're not going to get the offers in the transfer portal next year because they're going to look like guys that just quit on their team versus that quarterback. Because of how talented he is, there's likely going to be a team that is going to pull the trigger and bring him in.
I guess it would have to be these players unionizing. Is that what it sounds like? We're fighting for rights, and it would be, we know that you, UNLV, are trying to move conferences, try to maybe go to the Pac-12, that new conference, even though it's just the Mountain West reforming.
I was about to say, that's not the Pac-12.
Exactly.
You got to come up with a new name.
It's not going to look too great to admit, you guys, if all of your starters are sitting out because you don't got your money right.
It would be a terrible look on the school, but it also is a huge risk on behalf of those offensive linemen because, again, they don't have the name, image, likeness deals lined up for them. Apparently, his pop said that they had like 25 other deals from other Power 5 schools when he was in the transfer portal coming out of Holy Cross. So apparently he had some options. I doubt the offensive linemen for UNLV have those kind of options. So it would be more of a risk. And also the dude has only been there for like 6 months. I'm not sure if he has the confidence and the backing of his guys like that.
Do you think the image of the quarterback who's sitting out because he's not getting the money he's paid are the players on his side, or are they not?
That's going to be the most interesting thing that comes out of this is what is the reaction from these players when they get behind microphones over this next week, when they go out and play on Saturday? Like, what are they going to say about the situation? I would hope they at the very least don't criticize him, but I do not blame them for feeling like they got left out stranded because, again, they had hopes from within those walls, from within that locker room, that they could actually play in the college football playoff. I don't think they're doing so without Sluka at quarterback.
Yeah, and they're not in the money-making positions either.
Nope.
So it's not like they can really relate to the situation. A quarterback who transferred from Holy Cross to UNLV for a 6-figure perceived deal, they can't relate to that.